Hello and welcome to day 1 of the Ellipses notes. For our first problem here, it says write the equation of the ellipse in standard form. Identify the coordinates of its center, vertices, covertices, and foci. Sketch the graph. So what we're going to have to do first is we're going to have to get this equation into standard form so that we can complete the square. So we're going to put our x's together, 16x squared plus 32x. And we're going to get our y's together, plus 4y squared minus 8y is equal to 44. So now what we're going to do in order to get this into standard form is we're going to look at our x's, we're going to take out the largest number, and we're going to look at our y's, and we're also going to take out the largest number. Now notice I didn't say the GCF because we don't want to take out any x's or y's. So when we do this, we take out 16, we're left with x squared plus 2x, and I'm going to leave a plus blank, which I'm going to talk about in a second, plus 4 times y squared minus 2y, also plus blank, is equal to 44 plus blank plus blank. So what we're going to do now is we're going to need to complete the square 2 times. So here, we take this number, we split it in half, and we square it. That's going to give us 1. We do the same thing here. We split this in half and square it, so that gives us -1 and then +1. So what we need to do now is remember what we do to one side, we must do to the other. So we have to add 2 values over here. But we're not going to want them to be 1 because we have to remember to distribute our 4 and our 16. So what we're actually going to do, 16 times 1 is 16. 4 times 1 is 4. Now we can write this in standard form. So we're going to want to factor this. We can square root this, take this sign, which is going to make this a little bit easier for us. So this is going to factor to be x plus 1 squared plus 4 times y minus 1 squared is equal to 44 plus 16 plus 4 is 64. Now, I'm going to go over this again. The trick that I used to find these factors easily was square root this, take this sign. Square root this, take this sign. Square root of 1 is 1, take the negative sign. That brings us here. Now to get this into standard form, we could divide both sides by 64. 64 divided by 16 is 4. So we're left with x plus 1 squared over 4. 64 divided by 4 is 16, so we're left with y minus 1 squared over 16 is equal to 1. And now our equation is in standard form. Let's use this information now to graph our ellipse. So just to give us some more room, I'm going to erase this and write 64. Now we can see here that our center is going to be -1, 1. So our center at -1, 1, which is right here. We can see that we're going to have a value of 4 if we take the square root of this. So a is equal to 4. And we have a b value of 2 when we square root this. b is equal to 2. So what this tells us is, since our bigger number is underneath our y, we know that this is going to be a vertical ellipse. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up 4 and down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go right and left 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. And our ellipse is going to look something like this. Now we can use these values to help find our foci. First, let's write down what our vertices and our covertice points are. So our vertice points are -1, 5, -1, -3. And our covertice points are -3, 1, and 1, 1. Now, to find our foci, we need to find our c value. So our c value is going to be 4 squared minus 2 squared is equal to c squared, which is 16 minus 4 is equal to c squared. We get 12 is equal to c squared, square root both sides, and c is equal to radical 12, which if we simplify that is also 2 radical 3. Now, our foci are going to be going up and down. since this is a vertical asymptote. So we know that we're going to take this number and we're going to be adding it to the y value of our center, going up and down to get our foci. So that is just how we're going to get our foci here. So our foci points are going to be -1, 1 plus or minus 2 radical 3. And there's our foci. Now let's go on to our next problem. So just as before, we need to get this in standard form. And to do that, we need to get all of our x's together and all of our y's together. So we write 25 x squared minus 50x plus y squared is equal to 0. Take out the largest number, we get 25 times x squared minus 2x plus blank as before plus y squared is equal to 0. Split in half, square it, that gives us 1. We now have to add 25 to the other side as well. So, we have to factor this, square root, take the sign. This becomes 25 x minus 1 squared plus y squared is equal to 25. And now to get 1 on our right side, we divide both sides by 25. And we get x minus 1 squared over 1 plus y squared over 25 is equal to 1. And that is the standard form of this equation. Our center, as you can see, is 1, 0. This again is going to be a vertical ellipse since our bigger number is underneath our y. So our a is 5, our b is 1. We have a center at 1, 0, and since it's a vertical ellipse, we're going up 5, 3, 4, 5, and down 5. We go to the right one, to the left one. So our ellipse is going to look something like this. Now, let's write down our points for our vertices and our co-vertices. Our vertices are 1, 5, and 1, -5. And our co-vertices are 0, 0, and 2, 0, which we can see we have plotted right here. So there are the points of our vertices and our co-vertices. Now we have to find our foci. So in order to find our foci, we use our a and our b value. So 5 squared minus 1 squared is equal to c squared, which is 25, minus 1 is equal to c squared, which is 24 is equal to c squared, square root, c is equal to radical 24, or 2 radical 6. Now, again, since this is a vertical ellipse, we're going to be adding this value to our y, and we're also going to be subtracting it to go this much up, this much down. So our foci points are going to be 1. We don't need to write our 0 since it's just a 0, so we can write plus or minus 2 radical 6. And that would be our foci. Let's go on to the next question. So, same as before, we need to get all of our x's together, we need to get all of our y's together. So, 25 x squared plus 100 x plus 9y squared minus 18y is equal to 116. Take out the largest number, which is 25. We get x squared plus 4x plus blank plus 9 times y squared minus 2y plus blank is equal to 116 plus blank plus blank. Okay, so split in half, square it. That's going to give us 4 here. Split in half, square it. That's going to give us 1. 25 times 4 is 100. 9 times 1 is 9. Square root, take the sign. We get 25 x plus 2 squared plus 9. Square root, take the sign. Y minus 1 squared. So we square root this number, which gives us this. We take this sign, which gives us this. This is equal to 116 plus 100 plus 9 is going to be 225. Now we can divide both sides by 225. (25) divided by 225 is 9, so x plus 2 squared divided by 9 plus y plus 1 squared. 225 divided by 9 is going to be 25, and this is equal to 1. So we now have our standard form. To give us a little bit more room, I'm going to erase this and write 225. Okay, now it's time to graph our ellipse. So we can see that we are going to have a center at -2, -1. Which we can graph here, -2, -1. Again, our bigger number is underneath the y, which gives us a vertical ellipse. So we know our a is equal to 5, and our b is going to be equal to 3. We go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We go right 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we have our ellipse. So let's record our vertices and our co-vertices. Our vertices would be -5, -1, 1, -1, and our co-vertices are -2, 4, -2, -6, which you can see easily that we graphed here. Now we need to use these numbers to find our foci. So 5 squared minus 3 squared is equal to c squared. 25 minus 9 is equal to c squared. And 16 is equal to c squared. Square root both sides. C is equal to 4. Since this is a vertical ellipse, we're adding this number to our y value here. So that means our foci would be -2, -1 plus or minus 4, which we don't want to write it like that because we can actually add those things together. So our foci is going to be -2, 3, and -2, -5. And we can even plot those points here. -2, 3, -2, -5. And there are our foci. Now let's go on to the next problem. Same as before, got to get our x's together, got to get our y's together. We got to take out the largest number. So 36x squared minus 72x plus 25y squared plus 100y is equal to 764. So take out our largest number here, which is 36. Leave our plus blank. Plus 25, we take out of here, y squared plus 4y plus blank is equal to 764 plus blank plus blank. Okay, so split in half, square it, that's 1. Split in half, which is 2, square it, which is 4. 36 times 1 is 36. 25 times 4 is 100. So now what we do here is we factor this, we get 36 times x minus 1 squared. We square rooted this, we took this sign that got us here, plus 25, square root, take the sign, y plus 2 squared is equal to 764 plus 36 plus 100 is going to give us 900. We can now divide both sides by 900. 36 divided by 900 is 1 over 25, so we leave 25 on the bottom. So x minus 1 squared is over 25. Plus 900 divided by 25 is 36, so we're left with y plus 2 squared over 36 is equal to 1, and that would be our standard form. We can see here our center is going to be 1, -2, let's plot that. 1, negative 2 right here. Our larger number, again, is underneath the y, so this is going to be a vertical ellipse. Our a is equal to 6. Our b is equal to 5, which we know we get from square rooting this number and also square rooting this number. So now we know we're going to be going 6 up and down and 5 right to left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To give us a little bit more room, I'm going to erase these numbers and just write 900. And now we can draw our ellipse. Okay, so now let's plot our vertices and our co-vertices. Our vertice points are 1, 4, and 1, negative 8. Our co-vertice points are 6, negative 2, and negative 4, negative 2. And now we can find our foci. So our foci, we use these two values. We got 6 squared minus 5 squared is equal to c squared. 36 minus 25 is equal to c squared, which is going to be 11 is equal to c squared. Square root both sides, and c is equal to radical 11. Since this is a vertical ellipse, we know we're adding this value to our y value here to get as our foci 1, negative 2, plus or minus radical 11. And there is our solution. Now let's move on to the next problem. A whispering gallery is designed using an elliptical ceiling. Sound projected from one focus of an ellipse reflects off the ceiling and back to the other focus. The U.S. Capitol contains such an elliptical room. The room is 96 feet in length, 46 feet in width, and has a ceiling of 23 feet high. Write an equation modeling the shape of the room. C being 0, 0, major axis horizontal. So what that means is that it's going to be a horizontal ellipse. So if we think of the center of the room as 0, 0, we were to draw an ellipse, horizontal ellipse. What this is telling us is that it is 46 feet in width, which means this right here needs to be 46. So if this is 46, this must be positive 23, and this must be negative 23 to account for a width of 46. With the room length of 96, that would make this have to equal 48, which is half of 96, and negative 48 over here. So what that means now is our A is 48, our B is 23, and we know our center is 0, 0. So you're allowed to use a calculator on this part. This would be on the calculator section of your test. So we know our center is at 0, 0, so we're just going to have x squared over something plus y squared over something. Oops, I didn't mean to put over 1. Over something is equal to 1. So since this is a horizontal ellipse, we know 48 squared is going to go underneath here, and 23 squared is going to go underneath here. And what our final equation is going to be after you put those numbers into your calculator is x squared over 2,304 plus y squared over 529 is equal to 1. And that would be your answer. Next part. John Quincy Adams is known to have overheard being held at the opposing party leader's desk by standing in a certain spot in this room. Describe 2 possible places where Adams might have stood to overhear. So essentially what that is asking us to do now is to find where our foci would be. To find our foci, we know that our A is equal to 48, our B is equal to 23. So now we know 48 squared minus 23 squared is going to equal our C squared. 48 squared we know is 2,304 minus 529 is equal to C squared. When you subtract these two, you get 1,775 is equal to c squared, square root both sides to get c is equal to radical 1775, which is equal to 5 radical 71, which is approximately 42.1. So what our answer is going to be now is going to be 42.1 feet to the left or right of the center. And that would be our answer for this part of the question. About how far did Adam stand from the desk? So, if the desk would be on the other foci, say this is a foci and this is a foci. If he was able to overhear from here to here, is asking what this length is right here. So if we got that he must be standing 42.1 feet to the right or the left of the center, that means from the desk he must be standing 2 times this, 42.1 times 2, which would be 84.2 feet. So he was probably 84.2 feet from the desk that he overheard them talking. So for our last problem, it says, how wide is the arch of the room at a height of 10 feet? So if we look back up to our original problem, we can see we have a height of 10 feet right here, and we would have one maybe potentially right here, just drawing some random lines. So what we need to know right now is we are looking for this value right here. So to do that, essentially all we need to do is put 10 in for y. So if we look at our original equation, we get x squared over 2,304 plus 10 squared over 529 is equal to 1. Now, like I said, you are going to get graphing calculators on word problems like this, so there's no need to worry about these large numbers. So, what this is equal to is x squared over 2,304 plus 100 over 529 is equal to 1. We subtract 100 over 529 from both sides, which we know 1 is equal to 100 over 100. Or no, we want 529 over 529 is what I meant to say. 529 over 529 so that we can subtract these easily. And now we get x squared is over 2,304 is equal to 429 over 529. We cross multiply. We get 529x squared is equal to 988,416. Divide both sides by 529. And we get x squared is equal to 1,868.46 ... And then our x is equal to approximately 43.2. So now this gives us this value right here. But what we need is this entire value here. So what we do as our last step is multiply this 43.2 by 2. 43.2 times 2 gives us our final answer of 86.4 feet.